Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Nate, and I am joined by my lovely wife, Claudia. I am a cannabis science specialist with 26 years in the industry, and together we are TeachingBud. Babe?
Yeah, we are TeachingBud. We started TeachingBud so that we can take that scientific data and apply marketing to it, which is my specialty. I've been a marketing specialist for close to 20 years and have experienced a lot of the cannabis industry and its growth with marketing. And it's got a long way to go, especially when it comes to translating scientific data into what we're going to talk about, which is consumer buying power through marketing.
And Teaching Bud is an education, content development company, ultimately looking to help teach in every facet, everywhere with cannabis. And one of our first major steps that we're taking is what we're introducing here, which is a book that we're writing. The book is and we're starting with the cannabis experience from the consumer standpoint.
So the book itself, it's actually three books. That's going to be broken down into three different parts. Sorry, three books broken down. First book is going to be, as Nate said, pretty much taking the consumer and turning them into the intelligent consumer. Walking them through the dispensary experience and really breaking down the confusion and the information needed to have more confidence in their ability to purchase an experience. Next is going to be your standardized bud tender manual. In there, we're really going to focus on what you think your bud tender should know and what your bud tender wants to know so that they can talk to you on a more educational plane. The final book is going to be for the cannabis executive. The big boys, the honchos, those guys. We want to really take a lens to their side of the industry because that drives so much excuse me, that drives so much into what we're talking about, which is again the consumer buying power and really bridging this gap between translating science into marketable, digestible, you know, marketing materials for consumers.
Between the two of us, we have over 40 years of experience in cannabis. And we have sort of seen the industry as it's evolved, the products as it's evolved, people's understanding surrounding the industry, the consumer experience, and the products and everything. And we have seen some unfortunate holes and gaps in knowledge as well, which has led to all sorts of bits of weirdness in the industry that we're hoping to correct and through doing this. And when I say this, I'm referring to this fun book that we're writing, these various volumes, and how we'll be doing it is bringing the experience to our community in real time. We want to share with you all the writing process, what we're essentially saying about our favorite plant, and what kinds of things we're building in to help others understand it in the best way possible. And we simply can't do that without feedback and a level of support from the community.
I think, a lot of this does stem from us witnessing the growth of the industry. We want to course correct. We want to, what we have noticed is, while there are some strong brands, they're not really speaking to the consumer. They're just speaking loudly. They're speaking loudly with THC, with bright colors, with, recognizable brand names, but that's not really consumer buying power. That's just screaming so loud that that's all we hear. And, we want to tone the volume down on that and make sure we can hear all the different sounds that cannabis has to make. We want to really break down each metaphorical instrument into what makes it all work together so well. And I don't think consumers really have that knowledge and even buyers or dispensaries or manufacturers. Like, I don't think we're investing the time into that scientific information so that we can say, I want a strain that, let's just say, it's equal to a fine bottle of wine. When I'm buying a fine bottle of wine, I know it's going to come with a certain buzz. I know how much I can drink. I know my flavors that I like. Do I like fruity? Do I like earthy? I can make that buying power, or make that purchase with that information. But we don't have that right now in the cannabis industry. And I'm really excited to kind of bring that to the table, because I'm ready to stop having dispensaries tell me to get high. I want to start being able to walk into a dispensary and purchase an experience.
Bridging from that wine example, it's almost like at this point, if everything started to, if the only type of wine that was available was a port. Why do I say a port? Well, for one, that's not generally the kind of wine you want to really drink with every meal or every time you want to enjoy wine, but it is the most potent. And so, why do we have this notion of the potency being a governing factor if we know that that generally doesn't improve the conditions that we generally see with something like wine? The most alcoholic wine is simply not going to necessarily be the best one, just like the most caffeinated coffee, the highest sugar content in a candy, or the highest fat content in a cut of beef, just like none of these actually have great markers for what we're seeing or what we do. There is this misconception that THC should hold some kind of quality degree, and truth be told, in its own special way, it's really untangling the industry. The issues that are caused by uneducated consumers and buyers can strike systemically, and these are things that we want to make everybody aware of.
We want consumers to be able to understand what we see in a COA. And we also want the industry to start focusing on perhaps testing for more profiles available within cannabis, so that we can learn more about the aromatics and the effects of the aromatics and all these things that work more synergistically. And I think, again, once we give that kind of information to consumers, much like alcohol, you'll be able to walk into a dispensary and say, you know what, I want something that's going to pair well with a charcuterie tonight because my friends are coming over and we're drinking whiskey. What would be a nice strain that, flavorfully pairs well with that, and at the same time isn't going to leave us on our asses or on the couch because we got too high?
Whiskey's such a funny example too, because that's something that, as it comes out of the cask, a cask strength whiskey isn't usually what you're drinking, because that high of an alcohol content is actually going to be offsetting for a lot of the other flavors you should be experiencing. And oftentimes you can add water or ice to a good whiskey, and in doing so, you will create a bit of distance from that all alcohol flavor to where you actually can start picking up a spectrum of flavors. This is an element of education that, if we were to create any kind of analog towards cannabis, people just simply don't look at it the same way. As a result, we end up with pretty messed up scenarios, such as that 90% of the strains in the cannabis market are all essentially identical at this point, and there's no reason for that to be the case. Simply spoken, we're looking at the wrong markers for quality, and it's taking away opportunities and experiences we ought to be having with our favorite plant. Our next steps, what are our next steps, babe?
Our next steps are to go on strike until they bring back green crack, a good one.
I want my Bubba Kush, but
It's okay.
that's like 10% on a good day too. So
Right,
yeah,
sorry.
that's
Just thought
what
I'd
you
twist
do.
that up there. No, so next steps is, we're going to keep working on this book. We're going to keep, refining all the little bits and pieces. And as we develop this book, we're going to be releasing it, talking about it, letting you guys hear our process, but at the same time, we want you reaching out to us, and we want you to tell us, hey, when I walk into a dispensary, this is how I feel, or this is what confuses me, or feel free to hit us with all the questions you have, or what are your expectations out of the dispensary? What do you want your bud tenders to know? How do you want them to present things to you? We want to understand both sides of everything. And then even on the head honcho side, the executives, the high end guys, we want to hear, what are you guys struggling with? What do we need to talk about? What do we need to figure out together?
The goal, of course, being that we will have a structure that is community oriented, one that is a product of a year, not only our years of understanding, but others as well, as we seek to standardize and really make something very strong with regards to our industry as we help it mature and get past some of these initial growing pains that it's seeing in its early phases. So stay tuned. Please like and follow. Please be a part of this ongoing build and project as we put together a book. And what we're hoping is going to be one of the first and most powerful consumer, bud tender, and executive specialists, etc., guides that's ever existed in the industry. We're really excited to bring this to everybody. We're really excited to make you a part of this. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, yeah, we're looking forward to putting more together and sharing more.
And one final thought to kind of add to all of this. I know right now, with a lot of regulations and a lot of crazy stuff happening, we all feel so powerless. So see this book that we're creating, see Teaching Bud as now your friend, your door into getting that power back. That's it. Peace.
Peace.